But I do think that we need to have, for instance, perhaps more frequent emails that go out to those that are on the listserv. We're getting maybe once a month, twice a month, other than weather alerts and things like that. And I really think we need to have, for instance, like a agenda of the upcoming board meeting, and then a follow-up meeting after that, follow-up summary of meeting minutes. And also, right now, these are big issues. Have like a newsletter or something like that goes out electronically, like our representatives do, Capitol Report type thing. I worked for a representative in the House here in Missouri back in 2005, and that's what that gets put together is the representative sends that out to brief people on what's going on. Now I do know that we've got the news media doing a pretty good job of covering local events, but I just think directly from the schools, directly to the parents and to the teachers and people that are being affected is going to be a great improvement, and it's going to be very it's needed to ensure that there's not that insecurity and people wondering, are we going to have to move, or if we do, okay, how do we plan for that, and such.
You think that interactivity is something that we need on a wider scale in general for the school board?
Well, I believe so, because like for instance, going to the meetings, one other thing that has come up, and I've mentioned at some of the town hall, some of the forums, is that the way that the board meetings are structured, the board members will get I mentioned, the meeting minutes and such. Board members get that. Prospective candidates are receiving that. But the district as a whole, those that are on the email list, aren't receiving links to that information. Now, it's up on the website, but I think just a little hello, it's out there. If anyone wants to look at it ahead of time would be great. The other thing is that the meetings, the public will be able to have each person 3 minutes to comment before the board votes. And then if there's board discussion, or usually there's not, then they go directly to a vote right after they've heard from the public. I don't like that format. It makes me very uncomfortable as a citizen, and also as considering sitting on the board, serving the public, because I don't think that you can make you're not able to heavily weight those concerns and really validly consider them if you're immediately going to a vote right after you've heard from the public. I think what we would need to do is hear from the public, let the staff present their recommendations on the agenda and action items, but then don't go to a vote till hold another meeting, maybe Friday or something of that week. It wouldn't have to be necessarily very long, but hold one after you've had time then to go and think and consider and study whatever those issues are that are brought up.
One of those issues that was brought up, I think, at one of the candidate forums by a lot of educators, especially the achievement gap. How big of an issue in Columbia, and what kind of approaches, we've talked about some, but what kind of approaches do you think need to be done to alleviate that?
Absolutely. It is a very big problem. And I think there are a lot of things that are going to need to be done. It kind of boils down to, from what I can see as solutions that there are lots of ideas out there, but ones that I really think are the best to focus on are ones that we can accomplish within our budget, within our means, and then ones that will actually be effective. I think teachers have told me that what they think is the best way would be just hard work. There are teachers out there that are working very hard and are seeing a reduction in the achievement gap because they're working through individualized instruction, working with each child and not just treating them standardized. But if some children need more help with math, or some children need more help with their grammar, or whatever it is in the particular discipline that's being taught, that they'll work with that child and assign them extra homework and such, and really get to know the kids. Getting to know the kids and taking achievement gap as a serious issue, and making that the heart of the problem, or of your goal. Make that your goal is what's very important. The other thing, besides individualized instruction, would be it's going to be very important to ensure that we are also looking at what materials I think are out there, and I realize, within our budget constraints, we're not going to probably be able to do a lot of changing, but some parents are very concerned that they're telling me that kids aren't using calculators that they're teaching. I mean, they're using calculators, they're not manually figuring out math. I want to investigate and see if that's the case, because I'm very concerned if kids are not learning how to think without aids and technology, and then use that at a later time, they're not going to have those basic skills that you need throughout life. There are many times that it's good to be able to know how to do manual division and subtraction and addition and such. So those things I think we need to focus on to help lessen the achievement gap and ensure that we're being effective. Another thing too that is tagged onto that, one thing I do not think is a solution at this time would be that the other candidates are very supportive of is early education. The public funding is my concern with that, not that it isn't helpful and that there aren't studies that support it. And that is because I really don't think that we need to expand the scope of government and of the school district beyond K through 12. I think already if we've got funding crunches and such, we need to focus our funds on K through 12. We need to focus on that mission. In grad school, they called it mission creep when you get out of your mission, and I believe our mission is K through 12. And so I believe we need to stay within that instead of thinning out our resources and doing overall a less effective job because of that.
Okay. So, yeah, that gets back to your, as you said, your kind of platform of running as a conservative. Fiscal conservative. Is that going to kind of branch over into other aspects of funding? I mean, are there any other programs like that you, or issues like that you have interest in making sure things are cut and spent?
Well, those are the big ones pretty much at the time. I want to be able to, I guess another one would be would be when you're talking about additional training at a certain point, like for instance, should the district be reimbursing teachers for master's classes that they attend or something to that effect. I want to look more at the details of that because that was what the board voted for $600,000, I think, for training and such. I want to look and see exactly what was in, and that's already been voted on, but if there's future decisions as a board member, I would want to take a look at that because I think we can have more private business partnerships like what Columbia College is doing that I mentioned, where the college is working with the schools and going to offer free classes to the teachers. Let's help the teachers get training. Let's work with. That's another thing that the NEA and those groups. I believe that those groups can probably provide training, and that's part of their mission is to help train teachers. Let's see what training we're talking about, what other associations, organizations can help provide that. And so that way we're not thinning funds towards something when we've got highly, highly educated teachers. But